today, on our side, we're joined by a team of four. Myself, my name is Greg Williams. I'm the engineering specialist in the ocean health team, looking more at the business model side of mangrove restoration and inviting clients to come on board with our projects. Also with us today is Natalie, who is our ecologist and mangrove specialist in Mangroves. And also joined with us today is Neil Erlenborn, who is our finance specialist in the ocean health team, and Rose Peters, who is undertaking a graduate thesis in community engagement and alternative livelihoods for our mangrove project, currently looking in Eastern Africa. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, boom. So yeah, now we're going to go a bit into the topic of mangroves. And Natalie, oh, actually no, we've introduced ourselves. Now we would like to invite you to introduce yourselves, and we're going to do that via a poll, which should be on your screen now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And the first question is,
What is the focus region of your work?
okay, and there are a number of options.
Mozambique.
I'm aware, actually, I can't see the results, so I'm just going to use your screen. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Wait.
Feel free to put your answer in as well, Rose. Okay, so we have, yeah, Caribbean, Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Ocean, other. Okay, there's clearly a region we have missed. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, great to meet you all. And I think we have a second question.
Yeah.
So most of you are from other. I'm curious to hear where other is. Feel free to pop in the chat.
Mozambique.
Mozambique, yeah. Eastern Africa.
North Sea, yeah.
North Sea, yeah. A lot of mangroves in the North Sea. Yeah. Okay.
Worldwide.
Any other?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Nice.
Indeed, trying to restore mangroves where possible.
Perfect. So I'll put you on the spot here, haven't I?
Yeah.
Try to type quickly. Okay.
Feeling a lot of pressure.
You're doing well.
Okay.
The
Okay.
second question is coming up.
And the second question is, what is the nature of your work
In the blue economy.
in the blue economy? And the options are scientist, researcher, marine resource manager, finance or insurance specialist. Are you a blue economy startup scale up? Are you a corporate? Are you a student? Do you work for a non-government organisation, or do you work for somewhere else? And yeah, if you're working somewhere else, curious to hear where you're working. And oh, nice. Yeah, 36% of you are from a corporate. Yeah, 7% are scientist researcher. I think that's one of you. Insurance specialist. A couple of students, Rose included. Okay, nice. There's a really nice mix here. That's really good. Nice to see. Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, now Natalie's just going to go over the topic a little.
Yes, can you put the next slide up?
I can.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to share you something about mangroves. As the first speaker already briefly mentioned, mangrove forests are critical ecosystems, both for biodiversity but also for humanity. They provide carbon storage, coastal defense. They are an important nursery habitat. They generate livelihoods and much more. Next slide, please. So there are both losses and gains in mangroves through time. However, there is a net loss and mangroves are degrading. That is mainly caused by humans. We are responsible for a majority of the mangrove loss. And that's some of these causes include conversion to farmland, aquaculture, urbanization. Also some natural or indirect human causes such as erosion, sea level rise, storms, and many of them are caused by climate change. And then we come back to the humans again. Next slide, please. Well, the good news is that a lot of the mangrove area that's lost is restorable. And when restoring mangroves, we think it's necessary to approach this in an integral way. That means we first need to understand the ecology of the area, as well as hydrology and the important socio-economics in the area. We need to find the reason why the mangroves are not recovering by themselves, and then we need to restore all these factors so the mangroves can recover by themselves. This means planting mangrove is not the first go-to option. You plant mangroves if the natural recruitment does not occur or if species are extinct. So in the end, we want to preserve and restore these special ecosystems. That's the drive many of us are here for today. And we believe this is critical. And we also believe this can be done. However, we cannot do it alone and we need to do this together. That was the short introduction.
That was a short introduction, and that leads us to our discussion. So thank you, Nassi, for introducing the topic. Yes, so the discussion topic today, as I mentioned at the start, is we're interested to look into what is the most pressing roadblock that you find for successfully restoring mangroves currently. And the poll is on your screen. Thank you, Rose. And yeah, the intention is we're going to have 5 minutes for the first topic, and if there's no real majority, then maybe we'll find time to discuss a couple of topics today. What do you think, Rose?
I will go for all the answers.
You go for all the answers. Okay, that is helpful and decisive. Okay.
No, go with the business case.
You reckon business case? Okay. Right, done. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so I can get involved with the discussion. Okay, that's all right with everyone. Dear. Okay. Where are you, teams? There you are. Seamless. Okay. And okay, so let's have a look. Thanks everyone for voting. It looks like, the majority of you have, the majority of us in this room have, voted for capacity building, stakeholder engagement. I'm curious, who voted for that, and what were your reasons? And why do you, what do you think we can do to overcome this?
I voted for that.
You voted for
Maybe
that?
to give kick
Sure.
off, because I actually think that mangroves are located in areas where people are very depending on mangroves for their livelihoods. And we're now at a point in time that often this use has become unsustainable. That's why mangrove is degrading. And I think key to any successful mangrove project is the need for an approach where all the people living there, the stakeholders, are truly engaged. I think that's actually one of the critical factors to successfully restore mangroves.
Okay. So stakeholder engagement, you see, is critical.
It's very critical, stakeholder engagement, and doing a very good social analysis, speaking to the people living there, asking for their input. They have the knowledge.
Yeah.
You cannot just enforce a project. You really need to build a project together with the surroundings. Yeah,
and now I know RNA, you're working in South America, and I just seen Eric, you put your hand up. But maybe if I ask RNA, so I'm curious, you're looking into mangroves in South America. How do you engage local stakeholders, or what's your plan of engaging local stakeholders?
Yeah, that's the best way to say what was our plan. because we just recently started now working in Suriname. We are a U.S. NGO that works throughout the Americas to protect mainly shorebird habitat. And Suriname is one of those coasts that have like millions of shorebirds that depend on that. And one of the issues there is lack of capacity, which is raised by the Suriname people itself. We work now with the government there. We started like very recent with a project there to look at what are the needs in these protected areas that they have, which can also be used by the local people. So it's something that we just start up to look into, like what are the needs there, how is the current situation of the mangroves there, and how can we improve the areas with the people so they can continue to use the mangroves and in a way that it's sustainable. So we're really exploring still, and we just got some information on the coastal status, which we need to explore a little bit to see how the current status is. So it's really new for us still, but a big issue there is capacity, lack of capacity to understand how they can use the area. So guidelines of regulating the work, how you use the area.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Now, Eric, I see your hand is up. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I think one of the key elements, of course, is also where does the need to restore the mangroves come from? I think that is predominantly the leading factor, and that can be the coastal community that is underprotected, and that basically the protection that the mangroves gave is gone and needs restoration. Then of course the local communities are already part of are already looking for the solution, so they're going to be part of this solution. But if your goal is to have mangroves to do as a carbon sequestration project, then of course it's not directly likely that the local communities are sort of informed and in favor and are supportive, and you need to create that they become part of the solution. So that's really one aspect, and then particularly when you are looking for business cases that are based on carbon, you are not really particular about the location where you want this mangrove forest to be created. You basically need a large area of mangrove forest. And you are going to be looking around for spots that are suitable. And then you also then the question comes in, how do you find a suitable site? Because then you do not have local information on how the systems that are in place, how they work, and what they are. Whereas indeed, going back to the first example, if there is a coastal protection issue with the community, and then that community knows how in the past this coastal ecosystem has worked, what are the main triggers, and what needs restoration. So and therefore, David, I sort of feel it's both of local knowledge, but it's also local system knowledge that you need, and that also determines the best way to the best restoration technique that is available.
Yeah, great input. And now I look at Four Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
already thought this is nice interesting to react on. So in Four Lions, we are at this moment developing with Gold Standard the new methodology for carbon certification on the mangroves. And exactly what you point out now there is one of the key aspects of this methodology, that a project before even going certification can be selected only after identified in a participatory process why the mangroves loss happened, and need to address the cause of the mangrove loss before you even can start in restoring, how do you say it correctly, restoring the mangrove. So it's a very fair point what you're saying there. Yeah.
I have a quick question for Irene. I'm curious if this new standard who's going to be coming out. Can you give us any indication about that?
Yeah, I have a bit a guideline. What is already? It will be expected in the second quadrimester of this year. There will still be a public consultation round. And yeah, of course, you can send me a mail if you would like to be informed about that.
Thank you.
Put it in the chat. And am I then? Yeah, that's the local chat. I see I don't know if you have the same, but there are a lot of chats of the general room passing by while we are speaking.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Planting possible to speed up reforestation process. Yeah. A question from Mark. Yeah. Natalie.
Yeah, there are a bit two sides to this. So when you're undertaking planting, you actually can also cause some damage to the area when there's a lot of these roots of the mangroves that get trampled when you're planting. However, in some cases, planting some fast growing pioneer species could indeed help. So we don't say it's never an option, but a lot of the mangrove restoration projects in the world are about planting, and some of them are successful, but a lot of them aren't. So we want to emphasize that knowledge of the system is crucial for any mangrove restoration project.
Okay, great. And Jan, I see your hand is up. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hi guys, nice to meet you. Thanks to all your effort. What are you doing here? The questions I have is, if I work together with a reforestation project, just like Eden Reforestations, which they are planting mangroves on a big scale, just like Natalie was telling, is it the good way to plant mangroves and donate money up there, and how do we monetize all these things? Because just like Arnie is telling, we have the gold standards, just a monopole, and that's the only control instance we have now globally at the moment. And then we talk on the other side that we need to re-engage local communities to ask them how they build it. And I don't know, do they have the education there on site, and how we combine our European force to act like big tigers to capture CO2, to get our knowledge or our effort into their minds, because they just want to survive. And the question I have is, just imagine I have a foundation. At the moment, we are building a foundation. We're having a new fundraising method to scale and plant a trillion trees campaign, and even though also the mangroves and other sites on that. And the question we have, how can we be transparent and how can we be effective on sites like this? So we actually need a pool where all the people come together with the same mind and say, okay, we have money, and we gave the money to the project partners there. But what I see, everybody's working kind of like against each other. And let's say 4 Alliance has the problems and all the other CO2 capturing companies out there. And the question is, where is the base what we're building on? Because we're working on the same problem, but everybody tries to make some money and do some good effort.
Yeah, a good point. And I guess the crux of it is I'm very aware of the time. So we have maybe this is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the crux of it is it has to be locally led, right? So and it has to be of the benefit of the local people. And there was this word which I heard last year was ecological imperialism, and it's this idea that you have kind of more developed countries imposing their idea of the best science and best way of doing things on countries where they're not from. And I think that's really something we need to be aware of and involve local communities at every stage of the project. And as Arne was saying, yeah, I think it's important to really think about how can we engage local stakeholders. That's why Rose is doing some great work on one of our projects in Eastern Africa, really looking at how do we engage local stakeholders, and how can we ensure that their views and opinions are really valued in the project which we're developing. That said, though, Ocean Health, as part of our Nord Ocean Health, we see ourselves as an enabler to be able to scale these things up. But scale shouldn't be at the expense of the involvement of local communities. So we need to really think about that. And that's why these kind of discussions are important, because we need to work together on it. Because we're not going to have all the answers, right?
And personally, I think that scale does not necessarily have to work against engagement of local communities. If, for example, let's say that there's enough income from carbon credits, so the prices go high enough to share part of that income with local people.
Sure. And I'm sure you have something very good to talk about that.
If it fits in the time,
Yes,
our experience is that if you don't include the local community, you never have a long-term project. Those carbon projects are 30-year projects, if not longer. So, and you have to take care, and that's part of, well, the gold standard with VCS also. So it's not just a monopolist of the gold standard, but you have to take care, and that's stronger with the gold standard than with VCS, part of the local community. And that's just a must for the long-term time of such project.
And they call that it's called permanence, correct? The permanence of a project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for having that last point. In the chat, you will now see the opportunity to join your next breakout session. This has been short and brief. If you want to continue discussing this topic, you're welcome to join the next session as well, and maybe we look at discussion in a slightly different lens. But now we invite you to either join the speaker room, which is back in the main stage. I've shared the links in the chat. You can join our ocean health room with Mara and Renee looking more into what ocean health are doing about these topics. The mangrove room again. There's also a coral rehabilitation room. There's a seaweed room, and there is a speed dating room for you guys to be able to meet one-on-one other people at this event. You're welcome to join those meetings. We are going to have a short break of 2-3 minutes and await for the next round of people to join. But thank you all for the discussion. See you on the other side. We're going to grab a coffee. Looking at the time, we have 16 minutes left, so let's get started. Now we're going to be Frey and Das. These slides are going to be new to you, but Arena, these are going to be the same slides. I hope you don't mind. So let me just share the screen. Let's see if I can do this a bit quicker than I did last time. Okay, no, I can't. Okay, seamless, boom. Okay, so that's our discussion topic. So thank you everyone for joining our Mangrove room. As I said, please keep your cameras on and use the hands up functionality if you have a question. Quick introduction, we're going to talk about the value of mangroves, global change, and then we're going to discuss a topic. What is the most pressing roadblock for successfully restoring mangroves currently? Today in the room with myself, I'm the engineering specialist in the ocean health team. We have Natty Strokeman, who is our mangrove specialist in Van Oord, Neil Erlenborn, who is our financial specialist in the ocean health team, and also with us is Rose Peters, who is undertaking her graduate thesis in enhancing community engagement and alternative livelihoods in a project in Eastern Africa. First, let's have a get to know who's in the room. We'll probably do one of the questions because we don't have a lot of time.
There I already put the first question up.
In the chat, you will see.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the focus region of your work?
What is the focus region of your work?
I'm already creating the second question.
Okay, we'll just do one. We'll just do one.
Okay.
So what is your focus? You can exit that. Well done, mate. Other. Everyone's other. Okay. I'm curious to hear where you're all working. If it's other, I'm guessing it's Europe. Okay. Natty, do you want to quickly introduce the topic?
Yes, of course. Yes, thanks. Hi, everyone. My pleasure to introduce to you something about mangroves. As already explained in the plenary session, mangrove forests are critical ecosystems, both for biodiversity but also for us humans. They provide many services, amongst which carbon storage, coastal defense, important nursery habitats. They generate livelihoods and much more. Next slide, please. When we look at mangroves in the world, we see both losses and gains through time. However, there is a net loss and these ecosystems are degrading. That's mainly caused by us. Again, us humans are responsible for the majority of the mangrove losses. Because we are converting them into farmland, aquaculture, we're building houses, but also some indirect causes, such as sea level rise and storms, many of which are being caused by climate change. However, there's also good news. Next slide, please. A lot of the mangrove area that's currently lost is restorable. And when we think of restoring mangroves, we believe it's very necessary to approach this in an integral way. So we start by understanding the system. So we need to learn what's the ecology, what's the hydrology, and what's the social economics in the area. Because it's important to find the reasons why the mangroves are not recovering by themselves. And then we restore all the factors so that the mangrove can recover by themselves. This means planting is not our initial approach. It could be a part of the project. However, we think when we restore all the factors, the mangroves come back naturally and we let nature do the work. In the end, our goal is to preserve and restore these special ecosystems. That's the reasons we're all working here. And we believe this is so important. And we also believe this is possible. However, we cannot do it alone and we need to do this together. Hence, this Ocean Health event today.
Yes.
That was it.
Okay. Thank you, Natty, for introducing the topic.
Yeah.
Now we have 10 minutes for our discussion topic. And the question is, what is the most pressing roadblock for safely restoring mangroves currently? And you will have that on your screen now. If you vote on what you think is the most pressing roadblock at the moment, and then we will dig into that a bit and see, what your thoughts are and how we can overcome that roadblock, you think. What would you vote for, Rose?
This time I would vote for capacity building.
Gonna vote for capacity building.
Yes.
Okay. Submit. Okay, we got 60% of you say business case and 40% are saying capacity building. Okay. Different to the last session we had. So, business case. Now I'm going to I am going to stop sharing my screen so I can now see everyone who's in this conversation. I'm curious to hear who put business case and what were your reasons for that. How do you feel we can overcome this?
I certainly put business case. I think getting the money via, let's say, monetizing the eco services of mangroves upfront, getting the money upfront to actually fund the mangrove restoration is critical, because otherwise it's just it's donations. But I think donations will only take us so far to actually do mangrove restoration on a large scale. So that's why carbon credits are very important, and having higher price carbon credits, but also monetizing the biodiversity benefits, the ultimate fish that and the coastal protection. That's still very challenging, I think, and coming up with better ways to do that for governments to value the biodiversity. And in the end, that to me, that's also fish. I think humans are unfortunately very selfish, so it has to translate often into something that's valuable to humans. And also that coastal protection piece and getting better pricing for the carbon credits are the key things, I think, to be able to do this on a large scale.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying, moving from bottom line accounting to try bring other value streams to attract private funding. So basically the crux of it is saying private funding is important, or
I didn't say private funding. I mean, because I think governments often have to value, for example, the coastal protection more than they do.
Okay.
And if governments value that more, then they can come up with ways, hopefully, maybe from funding from public sources or the United Nations or whatever, to actually value that coastal protection piece, just like you would gray infrastructure. I think that's critical to getting the funding for companies like Fenway to do this on a large scale.
Okay.
public and private.
Is now okay. You're saying looking at the value in terms of coastal protection and in terms of biodiversity. Is this something that anyone in this call has looked into as well? I'm looking at you, Irene. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, because I was still on what Neil was saying about the business case in my thoughts.
So
shall I react on that?
Yeah, if you react on that, because what I was trying to bring that into a discussion, but yeah, if
Okay.
what Neil was saying.
So just to introduce myself, in For Lions, we do certify nature-based projects on the carbon certification, and at this moment we are developing a gold standard methodology specialized especially for the reforestation of mangroves. So of course, business case is an important aspect. And of course, this time I had the ability to think a bit more about this question, and I did not choose business case, as the carbon credits at this moment are incredibly increasing in their price, and especially nature-based carbon credits, and especially storage carbon credits. And if you look at if you put the kind of projects that you have in nature-based storage carbon credits, then you have mangroves on the top of it. So at this moment, mangrove carbon credits are the best marketable credits. At this moment, there's also such a demand in the corporate, because we do not only certify the projects, but we also help the projects with finding their investors. And there's at this moment such a demand, increasing demand for companies who would like to invest in such projects, and sometimes in advance, and sometimes sometimes when it's already certified and validated. But that's, of course, business case is always a challenge. The mangrove projects are also the ones that often needs the biggest investment upfront. But I see a really good tool with the carbon certification, especially with mangroves.
And how do we bridge that gap? So you say upfront costs are high, so that the capex is high. How do we bridge that gap? Because obviously carbon crediting comes, well, it depends how often you're verifying it, right?
Well, we are not the only one that see that the prices of the carbon credits are increasing. The companies that invest in the credits see that also. So there are quite some corporates, and of course that are the kind of corporates that can do that financially seen. That I have a bad network. I hope you can still see me and hear me. But so companies would like to guarantee their future carbon credits already today. So what they do is when a project is already selected, the feasibility study is done, the PDD is done, companies already decide to invest in such projects with the promise of the carbon credits that will come. Of course, the company takes more risk there, but also pays less because they pay more the today's price instead of the future price.
Could you help me understand what pricing are you currently seeing for these credits? Any sort of indication or range?
Around between the 40 and the 50 euro sales price.
For bilateral mangrove projects, 40 to 50.
Correctly.
Okay, that's much higher than I had known that.
Yeah, and that's also really, if you, there's a very interesting curve where you see how the prices developed in the last months. You can see that live online. And we in For Lions have been forced to adapt our prices due to the market prices, as the project said, hey, I'm not getting from you what the market says it's paying for it. So we had to increase our prices, which is totally possible because it's the market price, to take care that the projects indeed get the income that they can get for those projects.
Fantastic news for me. So.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. You've made Neil. That's good. We like that. Yeah. Now, Das, I'm looking at you. What did you vote? Considering we have 4 minutes left, so I just want to include other people as well.
Maybe you name a name when you say you.
Das.
Das.
Okay, that's my family name. My first name is actually Swayam.
Swayam. Okay.
Yeah.
Great to meet you,
So
Swayam.
I'm from India, and we do have mangroves in India, and they are within the protected area system. And there are also communities who are dependent on these mangroves. And there is a big organization called MSSRF, which works on mangroves in India. But unfortunately, like elsewhere, the marine ecosystem, the mangroves, are like not on a priority for the government for financing. So they are almost like, if I may put it, they're like designated as protected areas and given all the protection. But what is the benefit that is coming out to the communities is not recorded. And I wonder if, we don't have, I don't think we have any carbon credits associated with the mangrove ecosystems in India. But being on the IUCN Commission on Ecosystem Management for South Asia, I'm very keen to understand and see how we can work on a carbon credit system for the communities in, say, maybe pockets in some parts of the country. So I'm keen to learn, and I would be very happy to connect offline in my personal capacity to understand, to see how communities, how governments are pulled into it, can be brought in, onboarded into it, and how private sector comes in. So that's a gap area in my knowledge system right now. So I'll be happy to connect offline and have a one-to-one conversation and understand more. And Erin, probably you can also help me understand how you bring the communities into this whole conversation, and how do you bring the benefits of the carbon credits to the communities. And also see, the state governments in India, the provincial governments are very strong. And they would also like to have a share of it. So how do you balance that between the community and the state institutions when it comes to carbon credits? That is going to be one major issue area. What are the risks involved for a private sector when they come in for a new project? What would be the ideal size of a mangrove that you're looking at? What would be the regenerative and the restorative functions that you would also put in? So how do you basically design around an existing mangrove, which is a protected area? So I would like to learn more on this. So please help me understand, and I'll be happy to connect with all of you as and when possible. Thank you.
Oh yeah, great. Thank you for your input. Yeah, I'd love to chat more about that. But also, I'm sure, Irene, you're also very capable of supporting. So I'm just going to put my email in the chat. Just checking I spelled it right. Yeah. Yeah, and let's connect on that. And also, yeah, I can put you in touch with Irene as well. Yeah, because
I have some ideas too on how we can set up structures to share the benefits of the credits with governments, local communities.
Yeah.
We can do that via local corporate structures, I'm sure, partnerships.
Yeah.
And can we also do a pilot in India if there is a feasibility? I'm just thinking aloud, so help me understand, because we have not done it. And working in India is also a bit challenging. So it's not easy. So it's like it's on the table for you. If you can help me, we can do a little short group and we can discuss on how, if we can do a pilot in India, be very happy to work with all of you and see. And that would be essentially in the Bay of Bengal area. So that area is also battered by cyclones, and the frequency of these cyclones are actually intensifying and increasing in number. So that's a big area and a big challenge that I put on the table to all of you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's connect.
I'm putting my email here.
Okay.
Yes,
great.
please.
Yeah, so let's
my
connect.
email is here, so let's connect. Yes, please.
Great.
Thank you.
I am looking at the time. We are 1 minute over, but I thought let's extend this discussion because it's really important to hear what you have to say. So yeah, for sure, let's connect on that. And yeah, to be continued. Thank you all for joining our Ocean Health meetup today. Yeah, we've had a great amount of people who have joined in a discussion. Yeah, so let's continue working together and really boost our positive impact on the ocean together. Yeah, and let's keep in contact. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Thanks a
everyone for
lot.
joining.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later.
all
Thank you
take
very
care.
much. Bye.
Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you.
of your day. Bye bye.